Hi, my name is Ahmed Hussein. I'm an MBA student. As we study consumer behavior with Dr. Rehan Farouk, I will present to you the summarized research for the pharmacist role in the Egyptian pharmaceutical market. The pharmaceutical industry is an essential and unique participant in healthcare around the globe due to its channel of distribution as a simple and direct channel where the producer sells product to retailer or pharmacist, which in turn sells it to individual patients. The physician is assumed to be the dominant decision maker in the medicine purchased. In developing countries with large populations living at or below the poverty level, the pharmacist, because of his expertise, is the most important source of information and an important influence in decision making for millions of consumers and may take on the responsibility of influencer, prescriber, and switcher. The pharmaceutical industry is unique. In the US, its products account for only a little over 2% of the total US GDP. The industry have much higher level of importance because its often life-saving products are an essential part of healthcare around the globe. The pharmaceutical industry has also gained significance due to the amount of criticism due to the continuously increasing prices of pharmaceuticals while criticizing the amounts spent on promotion. The industry has responded with the argument that high prices are essential to pay for the research development necessary to create life-saving medications. But data suggest that pharmaceutical firms actually spend double the amount on marketing that they do on R&D. Despite growing promotion expenditures, marketeers of spend very little on pharmacists, the intermediaries between the pharmaceutical firm and the consumer, assuming that the pharmacist is not is not a key player in purchasing decisions. To better understand marketing communication efforts in the pharmaceutical industry, it's essential to understand the flow of goods and information. Figure 1 shows that there are four levels in the channel. 1. The manufacturers and/or importers. 2. Physicians in clinics and hospitals. 3. The ultimate patient or consumer who uses the pharmaceuticals. 4. The dispensers of pharmaceutical drugs, retailer pharmacies, hospital pharmacies, and medical insurance dispensers. Pharmaceutical firms have historically used push marketing activities, trade sales promotion, and personal selling directed toward the physicians who control the consumer access to prescription medication. Several studies have suggested that the physicians' attitudes toward pharmaceutical marketing activities range from negative to neutral. Pharmaceutical companies complain that the pharmacists are not loyal, that they make substitution of branded medicines, that they substitute generics for branded drugs, and that they take advantage of quantity discounts only to return portions of the large orders. In developing countries, the market for pharmaceuticals may be quite different from that in developed countries. Often high level of poverty are combined with large proportion of the population suffering from chronic diseases. Government regulations limiting the price charged for medicines, causing pharmaceutical companies to cease selling certain drugs or to cut costs in all areas of operation, from the cost of chemicals to the expenditure on marketing. The assumption that a pharmacist is not a key player in the determination of what prescription drugs purchased may make sense in developed countries. However, the pharmacists often play a very large role in developing countries. Egypt is a developing country with large, diverse, and growing population of over 80 million. The most recent estimate indicates that approximately 20% of the population is below the poverty level. The Egyptian government regulates the price of pharmaceutical companies can charge for drugs, thus making it difficult for the industry to grow. While there are Egyptian rules prohibiting the dispensing of drugs without physician's prescription, these laws are generally ignored by the pharmacist, the patient, and regulators. Individuals are free to enter any pharmacy and purchase any drug by name and generally in any quantity desired. A substantial portion of the population cannot afford frequent physician visits and only do so in extreme situations. Many of those who can afford physician visits may do so only after attempting self-medication. In order to understand the power of the pharmacist, it's, it's reasonable to turn to theories of social power. Social power is the ability of an individual or a group to cause another individual or group to change their attitude or behavior in the direction intended by the influencer. In 1959, French and Raven outlined the 5 ways of social power. 1. Reward power. 2. Coercive power. 3. Expert power. 4. Referendum power. And 5. Legitimate power. Expert power is based on influencee perception that the influencer has some special knowledge, information, or skills in a relevant area. Because patients have a little knowledge or power when it comes to their health, they rely on advice from experts who have more information, skills, knowledge, confidence, and power to control outcomes. In the research, it was designed to examine the role of the pharmacist using a structured survey implemented with personal interviews. 421 interviews with pharmacists over a 3-week period of time. The population studied included approximately 4,200 retail pharmacies in the greater Cairo area. Cairo were classified as A, B, C according to the general socioeconomic standard of living. The researcher developed a simple questionnaire that could easily be answered by the pharmacist, as shown in Figure 2. In a conclusion, this research purpose was to study the influence of the pharmacist in the dispensing of pharmaceutical drugs in Egypt as a developing country. In developing countries where a large number of consumers live in poverty and may be unable or unlikely to visit a physician, the pharmacist, because of his expertise, may act as prescriber, influencer, switcher, and dispenser of these drugs. We found that the pharmacist is indeed the dominant influence in approximately 4 out of every 10 purchases. The pharmacist switches patients from prescribed or requested drug for 14% of patients and is a prescriber for the 25% of all patients who have come to him with only a symptom. The likelihood of the pharmacist determining which drugs will be dispensing is greater. It's almost over 50% in lower social classes where income are low. Also, 1 in 4 pharmacists could be classified as influencers. These influencer pharmacists have a level of influence at or above the average of 39% with a maximum of 90%. To better understand the motivation behind pharmacist influence, were the pharmacists suggesting medicines for personal gain because they provide higher profit margins, or were part of pharmaceutical firm promotion, or were motivation based on the best interest of the patient? Our results suggests that the pharmacist total switching was most likely because they felt different medicine was more effective. It's 5.9%, or because of the economic status of the patient, which is 3.6%. There are differences in the motivation for switching in different social class neighborhoods. In A-class areas, the pharmacists were more likely than in other areas to switch due to special promotions, 4%, while in C-class neighborhoods, switching was more likely due to economic status of the patient. That's all. Thank you.